Welcome back to Beyond the Numbers. I'm Randy Cardis, CPA. It's a new year, and everyone is talking about traction, new goals, new budgets, new dashboards, and a new operating cadence. But here's what always makes me smile. Most organizations try to get traction using big picture planning, while their back office is still held together by email threads, PDFs, and heroic effort. Because traction is not a motivational poster. Traction is operational. It's whether invoices move through your organization without stalling. It's whether approvals happen the same way every time. It's whether your accounting team has clean data and a clean audit trail when it's time to close. It's whether your AR team can collect cash without living in follow up purgatory. So today, we are lifting the hood on two of the most overlooked parts of a finance and accounting tech stack: accounts payable and accounts receivable automation. Let's start with AP. AP is the part of the business that only gets attention when something breaks. Until then, it's just a quiet flow of invoices, coding, approvals, matching, and payments. And the old way looks something like this. Invoices show up everywhere. Someone forwards something, someone screenshots something. Approvers swear they never saw the email. Coding gets temporarily assigned and then revisited at month end. And matching turns into detective work. You end up with a system where your team is doing the same work twice, and then you're recreating the audit trail after the fact. Now let's talk AR. Most teams think AR is send invoices and hope customers pay. But the real work is everything after the invoice is sent: the reminders, the follow ups, the payment status, disputes, customer questions, internal coordination with sales and the customer success team, if you've got one. And when AR is manual, it becomes inconsistent and exhausting fast. So if your new year goal is traction, AP and AR are where traction either gets built or quietly gets destroyed. So, what does real automation actually mean? Real automation is not just scanning and calling it done. It's the workflow and controls that eliminate friction. On the AP side, the gold standard looks like this: rules-based approvals that match how finance actually works, not a one-size-fits-all flow. In the interview you're about to see, Nico from Quadient talks through approvals based on real coding dimensions like GL account, cost center, class, and project, or item. We discussed a matching process that protects you from errors, including a two-way and a three-way matching process, and variance-based approvals when something is off. Nico even gives an example of flagging discrepancies between what was received and what was invoiced. A clean audit trail you can download so you're not stitching together evidence from emails and side conversations. Nico describes being able to download a report showing what happened, who approved what, and when. Integration logging, which is one of the biggest missed opportunities in the AP automation category. If something fails to sync, you need to know it failed, why it failed, and what to do next without slamming your head against the computer at night. There is a solution for this. And on the AR side, real automation looks like this: automated customer communications that do not rely on someone manually sending and following up on every invoice. Nico talks about automating communications and using templates and smart links, a customer-friendly payment path where customers can click through to a portal and pay instead of your team chasing payments or taking a card over the phone. True AR automation includes a dispute management solution inside the workflow. So disputes do not live inside someone's inbox or get lost in Slack or Teams. Nico describes dispute visibility in the system, so finance, sales, and customer success can all see what's going on. It also includes collections intelligence, not just a list of open invoices. In this interview, Nico explains grading customers based on payment behavior and then adjusting reminder workflows and tasks accordingly. Even basics like knowing an email is bouncing so your team is not wasting weeks trying to collect using the wrong contact info. So, why does this matter right now? The back office and your team are being asked to do more with less. More reporting, more accuracy, tighter close timelines, and stronger controls. AP and AR automation is one of the fastest ways to reduce operational drag, tighten internal controls, and give your team time back. Not nice to have time, real time. The kind that shows up in faster closes, better cash forecasting, fewer disputes, and fewer late night fire drills. So, leading into today's conversation, I recorded this interview at Sage Future for Partners 2025. It was in Orlando, where we sat down with Nico McOwen from Quadient to talk through how modern AP and AR automation actually works for you to do it the right way. We get into things that matter to accountants and back office teams, approvals that match reality, matching and discrepancy flagging, audit trails, integration visibility, and on the AR side, communications, portals, disputes, and smarter collections workflows. If your goal this year is traction, start here. Fix the financial workflow that touches every department every week all year long. All right, grab your coffee, close the spreadsheet, and let's jump in. Here's my conversation with Nico at Quadient. Hi, everyone. Today I'm joined by Nico at Quadient. It's been such an awesome time to be here at the Sage Partner Conference, Sage Future in Orlando. How's it going?
It's been fun. Yeah, it's been a busy couple days already here. Really interesting getting to hear some of the insights in the main stage sessions, and then for us at our booth here at the conference, some really good conversations with different VARs and ISVs, and yeah, it's been good for us.
Now, that's awesome. And something that caught my eye when I was walking around the different booths is AP automation, but not just that. I saw AR automation as well. So it's like
Yeah.
two in one.
Yeah, exactly. Two in one. So that really is at this point one of our big differentiators is in this space, there's quite a bit of AP automation, but there's not really anybody doing the full financial automation package the way we are for AP and AR. So for all those businesses that do want to make sure that they're getting that centralized workflow and the automated process for both aspects of their accounting team, that's where we're going to have that solution.
That's awesome. So that, let's dive into the AR automation piece because I feel like, a lot of people might say, all right, I generate invoices, I need to collect payment. Explain what that looks like.
So basically, on the AR automation process, we look at a few different areas of the business's collection workflows. So it's going to integrate with their ERPs, with their Sage system, and it'll automate all the communications out to the customer. And it has AI generated templates and options for all those communications using like smart links, so such as like the customer account primary contact, or it can include the statement link for the existing outstanding balance for that customer and all that. And then it gives them a link into a customer portal where they can actually pay the invoice directly within the platform. So as opposed to some AR teams with maybe more of a manual process, a team member is creating the invoice and then they're manually sending it out, they're manually having to follow up, and then they might be even collecting the payments data themselves or taking a card over the phone or few different ways. So now it makes it really easy for customers to pay their invoices.
So the invoices are still generated within the ERP system.
Yes.
And the Quadient AR solution reads those in.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. So that looks like you said a payment link. Payment link gets embedded within the invoice or the email.
Yeah, within an email, they click on the link and it takes them to their customer page within the Quadient AR platform. So then as a customer, they have the visibility on all of their open invoices and anything like that. But what we're trying to do is really be that kind of central tool across different teams for the businesses we work with. So within the AR platform is also dispute management. So if a customer wants to put a dispute on one of their invoices, now that gets notified right within the system. We have a visibility on that for the account page. And so the sales team, the customer success team, and the finance team can have access to that info right within the one tool for the AR product. Same with credit applications. All those can flow through the same product.
So how does a Quadient transform that collections function?
So it's pretty cool. What the system does when it pulls in the payment history is it automatically gives a grade to your customers. Because like you said, sometimes your visibility on your good customers versus your maybe customers that pay late more frequently, it can be tracked in like multiple ways. Some teams I work with are still keeping Excel sheets where they're just manually updating how a customer is doing. For us, it gives an automated grade to them. So an A customer trending upward, they're paying their invoices on time. They're going to get assigned a lesser communication collection workflow within the automation platform. So they're going to get maybe an email every 30 days to remind them, but we likely expect they're going to pay on time. But for the customers in a D grade within our tool, they're paying less frequently on time. They're more likely to be delinquent on payments. The system's going to send them more reminders, and it's going to create more tasks for the AR specialists that have access to our platform. So because it also links in with an email server, it can tell the AR team, oh, your email's bouncing. So you've been trying to reach out to this customer. You have the wrong email address. So then that way they have that visibility. Or creating a task saying they've paid the last 2 invoices late. You should schedule a call with them 10 days before their next invoice, that kind of stuff.
That's intuitive, and I feel
Yeah.
like that's something that really, you think a junior collections analyst, that might be part of their role or responsibility if there are written procedures in place. But it sounds like you guys have already done the work. You have the experience.
Yeah.
You know what to be looking for, and for sounds like an organization that is looking to really elevate their staff.
Yeah.
This could be a good fit.
Yeah, exactly. That's
All
exactly what
right.
we're trying to do.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, yeah. No, the AR side of the business is one we're really excited about. AP's been well known and loved for a long time, but I feel like AR is just ready like to skyrocket right now. So it's a strong system.
That's fair. Well, you mentioned AP. Let's talk about that a little more. So it sounds like the AP automation is your bread and butter.
Well, so I mean, yes and no. I wouldn't say it's necessarily any better of a product, but it's just AP automation in all business types has been known and wanted for so long, and there's a lot of systems out there for it. So particularly in the Sage space, we're here at Sage Future for Partners. Our AP automation tool is white labeled as Sage AP automation for Sage 100, Sage 300, and Sage 50. So we've been known in the Sage space as a top automation tool for a long time for AP. And then of course, we also have full integration with Sage Intacct and Sage X3 as well. So we're able to play with all of these ERPs as an add-on. So customers that need a more complex AP workflow for approvals, for vendor payments in different methods, multi-currency, that kind of stuff is where they would utilize us. And yeah, so AP has been really known in the Sage space, but we're trying to make sure we also get the word out for AR. Yeah.
That's great. So you mentioned approvals.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in their systems, usually you can do manager approval, maybe a department approver that needs to be done. And many systems can handle a simple approval workflow. What about the Quadient AP approvals makes it stand out? Makes it a bit more, hey, if you got some type of complexity, this could be the solution.
Yeah, great question. This is something that we get excited to talk about because it is typically a differentiator for us. So like you said, a lot of systems are going to do approval channels with a limit on the amount of approvers. So maybe 1, 2 approvers and typically off of dollar amount or vendor, and then maybe department. For us, the approval channels can be created off of any coding dimension. So GL account, cost center, class, project, as well as, of course, the classics of vendor and dollar amount.
Yeah, okay,
vendor
cool.
as well. And you can have multiple pieces of criteria within one approval rule. So our implementation team are really helpful and hands-on. So when a business is working with us and they're trying to figure out the best way to create their approval channels, they'll work with one of our implementation specialists on all of their options. So then they can structure that in a way that makes sense. So some teams actually will have a group of 5 vendors and 1 GL account in one specific approval channel that goes through a department head. Then it also goes through to a project manager, and then lastly in through a finance professional. So needing those multiple different routing rules, then within our tool to go even further, they can then sequence the channels. So they can have 20 different channels set up, and they can set up the order of what they want those channels to flow into. And then lastly, one of the big differentiators is group approvals. So most systems are able to handle 1 approver at a time, but especially in like the nonprofit space, they're going to have a board that needs to do some sort of final approval for everything over 20,000. So we can handle a group of 3, 5, 10 approvers, and 1, 2, 3 of them can be the actual sign off on that approval workflow.
That's phenomenal. And I know you just remembering back to some of the implementations that I've done, that can be a sticking point. You get so far in discovery where you've documented approvals. And once you finally sit down to implement a system, maybe functional requirements don't change, but a lot of times at that point, accountants, their minds change. We start to see, oh, is this possible? And we start to question ourselves.
Yeah,
And, is what we thought we wanted really what we want?
yeah.
So you mentioned, I think, two key ones that I want to point out. Uh, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on them. Vendor approvals,
Mhm.
by vendor, and item approvals,
Yeah,
product
off of
approvals.
item as well. Yeah.
Those are
So
great.
yeah, those are great. And so that's the nice thing as well. So our AP tool, another differentiator is we handle two-way and three-way matching. So any purchase orders or inventory receivings that's created in the ERP, we can import that into our platform. So especially on the item level, they also can have approval channels based off of a purchase order match variance. So to go one level further for items, they can say anything that's matched to a purchase order that has a 3% variance goes through an additional approval channel. And they might also tie that to three different item classes because those are the specific approvers needed within there.
That's great. Item
Yeah.
class. So we're talking about item class or product category. People name them those
Yeah.
terms, whatever. Usually, what fits their organization. But
Yeah.
no, that's great. Feel like those are the three big missed opportunities. We get to that point of implementation where it's like, all right, the system might fall short in standard functionality, but that's where something like Quadient can pick up.
Is going to step in exactly. And like that's the thing with any of these automation add-ons, one of the big goals is to end up or create that kind of full good clean audit trail as is what you want at the end of the day. And so when you have a system that then limits what you can do on an approvals front or from a user visibility or commenting standpoint, you end up starting to then also still have some of the details get handled outside of the automation platform. And now you're still manually creating a bit of an audit trail. For us, because everything's within the one platform, you just click download and you have a report of everything that's happened with that invoice, everyone that approved it, all the necessary names, users, dates, all of that.
That's awesome. So one of the things I always take my clients through when we're doing training or UAT, and I'll say, hey, here's the audit trail. Whatever system it is.
Yeah.
If there's an audit trail, I'm definitely covering it.
Yeah.
And I'm always hoping for, I want to see someone's name. What did they do? What record was it? And if possible, the before and after.
Yeah.
And I always like to say, hey, this is one of the best pieces of functionality because you're going to like it as a manager, but your team members are not, because now you get to go around with a ruler and start
Yeah.
slapping people's wrists.
Yeah. You can actually see what's happening when and where.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's one thing. Definitely kind of whenever I do an AP demo or an AR demo, some of the ta-da moments that really wow some of the finance teams that I work with. On the AP front, it's typically when I show a full invoice capture, including three-way matching with discrepancy flagging. So it'll also highlight if there's a discrepancy between the receivings line free, we received 280 units, but on the invoice, we got invoiced for 300 units. So that full line item capture and matching and coding is typically a ta-da wow moment. And then, yeah, when we show the full audit download and they see that it has exactly everything that they need, because some systems you can't actually download your data that easily out of the tool. For us, everything can be downloaded. So that sometimes gets a great reaction. And then on the
Great.
AR front, it's really, yeah, around the customer grades and the on-time payment projections with that to the day accuracy of 94%.
That's great. That's great. And this is a true cloud solution too. This is not a server that has to be logged into.
Exactly. True cloud solution. And one of the big things for Quadient, we work with a lot of different industries, but especially we also work in like the healthcare and government space. So we have the most security compliance out of all the systems out there. So HIPAA, GDPR, all of that, all in our cloud solution. And then, yeah, one of the nice things for the way that we've done our integrations on the AP front, AR as well, but mostly AP front, is that we have built sync tools. So even for customers that are using these older on desktop or on-premise server-based systems, like some of your 100, Sage 100, 300s out there, we have a sync tool that they can install on their server, and it helps essentially bring their ERP into the cloud because they're at least now getting the AP visibility through our cloud system.
I feel like one of the big missed opportunities that a lot of third-party solutions before I go on is just integration logging.
Yeah.
And as a CFO or a controller or even an accountant who's using your software, a lot of times they want to see, did it integrate successfully? Did it fail? And if so, why?
Yeah.
What caused it? And how can I fix it? Can you speak to kind of those capabilities with your solution?
Yeah, yeah. So it's nice. So all of our integrations get handled by the Quadient team. So we don't have to outsource anything, which means we have all that visibility and we can really give that hands-on support to our customers for their integrations. So yeah, unlike the cloud-based ERPs, it's gonna be all API integrations. So all of that data is syncing back and forth for your coding lists, your invoice data. But then even for those on premise solutions, with the sync tool, even when you go to push out like an invoice, for example, from the AP system, the sync tool is able to detect any errors and it'll actually give you a full comment box as to why it didn't sync over into your on-premise solution. Yeah, so sometimes when another system tries to integrate with those on-premise solutions, when you push over the data, there's no actual clear way to identify what didn't go over. And you just have to kind of manually reconcile. Whereas for us, it'll actually stay in the export tab with a comment as to why, and everything that did successfully push over will move to our digital archive.
That's great. So this tool, right? It's not purpose built just for one ERP solution. It's been built with, being a best in breed for AP automation.
Yeah,
Integrate with
any ERP
any
really.
ERP system.
Yeah,
So that's awesome that you have that capability because that does solve that risk.
yeah,
Okay, hey, I need to get this posted tonight, and if it errors out, you're not just hanging out there all night.
yeah, yeah.
Slamming your head against the
You're like,
computer.
what happened? How do I fix this?
Yeah.
Exactly. Now they can identify right away. And to your point around being able to integrate with any ERP, so our systems are both really strong in multi-entity and multi-user type businesses. And so particularly around businesses, maybe like a private equity firm that has multiple ERPs. Almost every automation tool out there is going to need a different instance of their tool for each ERP. Whereas with us, we can actually have multiple ERPs integrated with one instance of our solution, which means you now get reporting and data across all of your companies, all of your ERPs. So some could be on Intact, some could be on 300, or even other ERPs in the landscape. But now you actually have that visibility in one instance of the tool, as opposed to needing to log in and out and download different reports for all of them.
And now that's important too, because like you said, PE private equity is a great example of, hey, there's this functional requirement where we've got all these entities. But with that though, I feel like it's synonymous to Sage Intact's multi-entity distributed environment,
Yep.
pretty much, where you can have multiple
Locations, yeah.
shared entities with their sub-locations and maybe even geographies embedded at a third or fourth hierarchy.
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal.
Yeah, and we can restrict all the user access at all of those levels. So anyone that needs access to just one of those sub entities, that's just what they're seeing. They're not overwhelmed with any unnecessary info. Everyone on the leadership side, they can see everything across all of the business entities and report.
Yeah, that's true power.
Yeah, yeah. While we're talking integrations, one of the other nice things about the AP tool is what you'll see a lot of times, maybe like in manufacturing, is companies that use another third-party system for their purchase orders and inventory receiving. And sometimes they'll be trying to find a way to integrate that with their ERP or at least marry that data. A lot of companies you talk to still have a manual matching process to try to bring that info together, whereas our tool can actually act like a middle ground between your ERP and your third-party system. So we can bring in your purchase order and receivings data from this third-party tool into our purchase orders module. Then when the invoice comes in, we auto match the invoice and the PO, and then we can push the invoice details into your ERP. So I've spoken to a whole bunch of different companies that still have a manual process between those two things, and now we're streamlining that, or at least bringing that together in the tool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I feel lucky. I've been at Quadient about 4.5 years now, maybe coming up on 5, and it's been great to see the way that the products have evolved and grown through different R&D and customer initiatives. So we're pretty lucky.
So what are the best features that have come out recently that they've kind of wowed you? And maybe they've also wowed different accounts?
It's a good question. Sometimes, honestly, it's the smallest features that get some of the best reactions. So on like the bigger recent feature releases on the AR side, we introduced retainage. Now we can handle all that for construction customers on the AR side. On the AP side, the three-way matching was a somewhat recent release, and that's gone really well. Utility bill management is one that I believe right now is still going through beta, but I've heard some really good feedback. So that'll be actually directly importing all the utility bills that are typically actually through a portal as opposed to a vendor or supplier emailing them in. So our tool can actually now connect to your portal and bring in the utility bill directly. So there's no need for that to get emailed in or manually uploaded or forwarded. And then that can go through its own approval process, likely streamlined because those are recurring utility bills. So I know for particular like property management companies, they're going to get a lot of value out of the UBM tool that we have now.
When you say utility billing, that is from the AR perspective.
For us, this would be for AP. And it's good to ask because
Yeah.
sometimes like there's so many different things that kind of do cross over. But for this product release, it's the AP. Yeah. I feel like we've covered a lot of good stuff that I wanted to make sure we highlighted about how great it is, all the things that Quadient's doing for APAR. Excited. My role, I keep growing our different partnerships. Anyone that might have clients that can benefit from our systems and refer those in. So that's something that I'm always looking to explore with really any type of business. We work a lot with partners to make sure that the client's needs get met. We're very dedicated to the support and the customer experience. At Quadient, we have more than just the financial automation tools. We have mailing services and customer experience communication services. So there's a lot under the Quadient umbrella, but my little world is that financial automation house.
I've got a good question because this is something that a lot of times, you know, people looking to upgrade their systems, they want to not just know, hey, is it going to do the job, but is it going to do the job and not take a year to implement?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the implementation process. If someone's interested in purchasing, and let's say they do, what next and how long?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And it's good to bring that up. That is also a spot where we typically are able to really show some value and some highlights where we're creating a business case. Our implementations are really down to a good formula while being very hands-on. So on the AP front, for any ERP that we've already integrated with, we're honestly typically estimating as quick as 2 to 4 weeks for an implementation. So a really easy add-on. We'll have the integration call to make sure the ERP and the tools sync up and have the data flow. We'll have a workflow configuration to make sure all of your users are set up the way that you need, approval routing rules, filters, dashboards, all of that. And then, of course, training to really make sure you and your team are getting the value and using the system for all its features and capacity. And then for any ERP that we haven't integrated with, we do have a services team that will do that integration, which is great because we don't have to turn anything away. And even those ones are on the faster side, typically ranging from about 6 to maybe 12 weeks, depending on the complexity, but still great for a custom integration. And then AR, typically there's a little bit more that we'll want to work with the customer on just creating their customer communication rules. Just we want to make sure it's a little bit more of a tailored solution. So for AR implementation, you're probably estimating closer to like 4 to 8 weeks, but still great time to value there. And then for a custom one, probably more like 10 to 20 weeks for a custom AR.
That's still so fast.
Yeah.
Do you think comparatively, that's something that can be done alongside an accounting system implementation, really at the same time?
Yeah.
And that's powerful. We think like, hey, I don't have to just focus on one and then do the other. So that's great to hear.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, well, hey, Nico, this was such an awesome time being here with you today. I'm glad we got to meet. And everyone, Quadient, this is an AP automation solution that could be the difference between you having dinner with your computer or having dinner with your family tonight. Thanks for joining us today. Until next time, where we go beyond the spreadsheets, beyond the chaos, and beyond the numbers.
All right, that wraps up my conversation with Nico from Quadient, recorded at Sage Future for Partners 2025. If you're heading into the new year looking for traction, here's the simple takeaway. AP and AR are not just back office tasks. They are the operating system of your finance function. When they are manual, everything downstream feels heavier. The close takes longer, cash visibility gets foggy, approvals turn into bottlenecks, disputes linger, and your team spends too much time reacting instead of leading. But when automation is done right, you get control and consistency. You get a workflow that is built around the way accounting actually works. Here are a few practical takeaways to put into action right away, based on what we covered today. First, build approvals that match reality. Not just routing by dollar amount, but approvals that can follow the dimensions that matter in your organization, like cost centers, departments, classes, projects, items, and the policies you have to enforce. Second, use matching to protect the process, two-way and three-way matching, plus variance-based approvals. This helps catch errors early and reduces the downstream mess of exceptions and rework. Third, make the audit trail automatic. The goal is to stop rebuilding documentation after the fact. Systems should preserve the timeline of what happened, who approved it, and when. So month-end and audits do not rely on inbox archaeology. And on the AR side, remember, it's not only about automating or generating invoices. It's about consistent communication, easy payment paths, and structured dispute management so you can prioritize follow-up and protect cash flow without burning out your team. If you found value in this episode, share it with a controller, CFO, or the person who carries the weight of AP and AR every month. And follow Beyond the Numbers for more practical conversations on finance, systems, and back office transformation. I'm Randy Cardis, and I'll see you next time where we go beyond the spreadsheets, beyond the chaos, and beyond the numbers.